What's up guys, and welcome to my 4.1 updated Boothill guide. In this video I'm taking you over everything you do need to know in order to understand and build Boothill, including a kit overview, best icons, best relic sets and ornaments, the stats you want to run, and then finally team building ideas. Boothill's basic attack does physical damage based off his attack to a designated enemy. His skill allows you to mark a enemy into a standoff, where Boothill's basic attack will be enhanced. During that duration he will not be able to use this skill for 2 turns. The enemy you do take into standoff will become taunted, and when that target / Boothill gets attacked by the other party in standoff, the damage they receive increases by 30%/15%. If the enemy becomes weakness broken or defeated, Boothill gains a stack of pocket trickshot and will dispel standoff. The enhanced basic attack also does do physical damage based off his attack to a designated enemy and will not be able to recover skill points, and will also only be able to target the enemy in standoff. Boothill's ultimate will apply physical weakness to the enemy you attack for 2 turns and will deal physical damage based off his attack to that enemy and delay their action by 40%. His talent will increase the enhanced basic attack's toughness reduction by 50% for each pocket trickshot stack you do have, stacking up to 3. If the target is weakness broken while the enhanced basic attack is used, you'll be able to deal break damage to that target that will increase based off the amount of pocket trickshot stacks you do have. Toughness taken into account of that damage cannot exceed 16 times the base toughness reduction of his basic attack, and if you win the battle, you can retain pocket trickshots for the next battle. His technique allows Boothill to implant physical weakness equivalent to his ultimate when casting his skill for the first time on an enemy. For his bonus traces, his A2 will increase his crit rate and crit damage by an amount equal to his break effect. His A4 will make him take less damage by enemies that are not in standoff by 30%, and his A6 will allow Boothill to regenerate 10 energy when in standoff and gaining pocket trickshot. Finally, for his Eidolons, his E1 allows Boothill to get a pocket trickshot stack immediately when the battle starts, and now Boothill's damage will ignore 16% of the enemy target's defense. His E2 will allow Boothill to recover a skill point when in standoff and gaining pocket trickshot, and will also increase his break effect by 30% for 2 turns. If you already have max pocket trickshot stacks, you can still trigger the break effect increase, while you cannot repeatedly trigger it within 1 turn. His E4 will make it to where the enemy target in standoff is attacked by Boothill, the damage they receive additionally increases by 12%, and when Boothill is attacked by the enemy in standoff, the effect of him receiving increased damage is offset by 12%. His E6 will be for when he is triggering his talent's break damage. Additionally, deals break damage to the target equal to 40% of the original damage multiplier, and additionally deals break damage to adjacent targets equal to 70% of the original damage multiplier. For Boothill's best Lightcones, unfortunately he isn't working with many options still, and his best in slot goes to his own signature option, increasing the wearer's break effect by 60%, providing 20% defense ignore to break damage dealt by the wearer, and increasing the wearer's speed by 12% if they do have 150% or higher break effect. As break doesn't necessarily have much to increase its damage, you just build break effect, you get defense ignore, and then speed. This Lightcone quite literally provides all 3. Massive break effect increase provides a big increase of defense ignore, which especially with the help of this Lightcone reaching up to upwards of 100% is very easy, and to top it all off, it does provide speed. It's really that simple. Everything provided here is just perfect for any break character, and this is his signature, so it's the best option to use. If you don't have that, the next option would be using the Shadowed by Night 4-star Lightcone, providing 28% break effect, and entering battle or doing break damage will increase speed by 8% for 2 turns and triggers once per turn, and at S5 it's 56% break effect with 12% speed. So with the effect active, it's kind of like his signature, not really. It's 4% less break effect, it's the same speed at S5, but it doesn't have the defense ignore, so it is going to do a lot less damage, especially if you're not hitting the 100% defense ignore / shred in battle. But yeah, for the same reasons that his signature provided break effect and also the speed, it's good for that reason. If you're really down bad and you're missing that, you don't have a signature, then you would have to use this 3-star option right here, which defeating an enemy will increase the wearer speed by 10% for 2 turns. At S5 it's 3 stars, so you'll have it S5, it's 18% speed. So yeah, more speed makes him easier to build in the speed department. You can get up to more turns depending on your tuning. Unfortunately, it doesn't increase break effect, doesn't give you defense ignore and stuff. It's a 3-star, so you can't really expect much. So if you are unfortunately missing a signature and also unfortunately missing the Shadowed by Night Lightcone, then you would have to run this 3-star option. For relic sets, his best in slot is still the 4-piece Iron Cavalry, as 2-piece provides break effect, and 4-piece provides defense ignore based on more break effect that you do have. 10% defense ignore to break damage with 150% or higher, and having 250% or higher break effect is going to provide 50% defense ignore for the super break damage you are dealing. Just like I mentioned with the signature, it's all useful, providing the break effect from the 2-piece, and the 4-piece providing defense ignore. As all of Boothill's teams right now is going to have a super break enabler, this is going to practically be the full requirement, and and Boothill is usually built with a lot of break effect, especially in battle and all the buffs applied, so the 250% requirement is not necessarily going to be difficult in any sense. So for the best overall damage increase, you are going to run the 4-piece Iron Cavalry. This won't apply to most players, especially on a character like Boothill, but Eagle still also can be his best in slot if you are doing proper speed tunings, with the 4-piece giving a 25% advance forward when the wearer uses their ultimate. When you pair this alongside characters on the team that can hold Dance Dance, such as Harmony Trailblazer or Ruan Mei, or even if you have E2 Fugue, and then you build a lot of speed on Boothill himself, this action advance can actually do a lot, such as achieving a whole other turn or maybe even 2 turns if you have really crazy builds, but only actually use this if it is helping you, because for most people, especially with a character like Boothill where this set is hard to use, it's not really going to impact too much. At least ensure it's getting you at least like another whole turn. Otherwise, you're not really doing much, and in that case, you'd be better off just using the 4-piece Iron Cavalry for better damage and simpler usage. Other than that, you can use 4-piece Thief as well. That also does work. It's the equivalent of running 2-piece break, while also getting 3 energy when the wearer does break an enemy. So it's, again, really just a bit of a 2-piece break with some extra energy. So if you do have a 4-piece of this laying around, you very much can use it. Other than that, you would just run 2-piece break, so 2-piece Thief with 2-piece Iron Cavalry or 2-piece Watchmaker. If you want to get higher speed thresholds, you can do 2-piece in one of the break sets and 2-piece in one of the speed sets, such as Hackerspace, Relieved Ordeal, or Warrior Goddess. But Planar Ornaments, as you were often always going to pair him with the Dahlia now, Forge set is going to be the one you use. 6% speed and 40% break effect attacking someone that has fire weakness. Before the Dahlia, this wasn't super applicable because you'd have to check if the battle has fire weakness consistently for you to actually have this up. But the Dahlia implants the weakness of every dance partner, so the dance partner is the Dahlia herself and also Boothill. The Dahlia is fire, so she always implants the fire weakness, so you are able to have the effect of this. And so overall, this is the best in slot ornament. Other than that, you can use Talia. Provides up to a total increase of 36% break effect, which is 4% less than Forge, and also doesn't have a speed increase, so it is worse by a solid margin, especially because it also doesn't really give you any speed. But yeah, this would be the set you would use if you aren't running him with the Dahlia, because then fire weakness can be inconsistent. But even if you aren't running the Dahlia, you can check if the battle is fire. In that case, you would still run Forge, but in any other case, you would run Talia. So mainly, you're going to run Forge. For the main stats on the relics, for the body, nowadays it is better to do HP percent or defense percent for Boothill to survive, especially since his best team comps are sustainless. For best damage, technically you would go something like crit, but honestly, in the past, running crit being better damage was something you can notice, but it was always around like roughly 3% of total damage. So back then, when HP wasn't so high for enemies, it was something you can definitely consider, but nowadays it's genuinely not worth it. You're much better off just doing HP percent or defense percent. But if you do have a sustain on the team, then I guess it doesn't really matter. You can go for crit, you can go attack percent, it really doesn't matter. All his damage is pretty much break, so the main stat on the body doesn't really matter. For the feet, you want to run speed. For the orb, same exact thing I mentioned with the body. And for the link rope, you want break effect. For the subsets, first, you want to prioritize speed, get it to hyperspeed or higher. It's one of the few stats you want to focus on when it comes to it. If you're running Talia specifically, you need 145, but you're aiming for hyperspeed with 160 plus anyways. And if you're running a high speed setup with something like Eagle, then you're probably going to be aiming for over 172. But of course, that changes depending on how many Dance procs, Fugue E2, how many Eagle procs you're considering, so on and so forth. But you are going to primarily focus on 161 or higher for hyperspeed. Past that is going to be your break effect goal. The whole goal is going to be get as much as possible. For the full effect of Iron Cavalry, you do need 250%, but you can honestly get that outside of battle, especially if you have a R5 Shadow Knight or his signature especially. You just need to make sure it's 250% or higher in battle, but in battle, he can have upwards of 400 to 500% nowadays. So just get as much as possible. You just want to make sure that is the minimum you do have in battle. Past that is honestly just survivability stats, just so you can tank some hits, especially if you are doing sustainless runs, which once again are his best teams. So having some extra HP, extra defense is not going to hurt, since stuff like attack or crit is, again, relatively useless. First, your speed goal, hyperspeed or higher, probably over 170 to maybe even 180 if you're doing Eagle setups. And then past that, 250% break effect in battle minimum, but ideally you want to have much higher than that, around the 400 to 500% range in battle. So a healthy amount to have outside of battle is going to be roughly around 270%. Now for teams, the dead set partner with any single break character is the Dahlia. I unfortunately don't have the Dahlia on my account, so I can't put it here. So for any team variety you are doing with Boothill, the Dahlia is going to be in that slot. The Dahlia is absolutely broken for break. She is regarded as the Kafka of break. She is not a character you want to miss if you're using any break character, and I mean literally any single of the break characters. Now past the Dahlia, you would be running Fugue usually. Fugue is really good, especially if you do have her E1. So putting Fugue on the team, and then then last slot, Break is regarded as the best to sustain this team as you're breaking enemies so they can't attack you. So very often with any of the Break characters, you are going to mainly be running sustain the setup. So the last slot usually goes to another Break character such as Ruan Mei. Ruan Mei still does work good as the last slot, but you can also still very much use someone like Harmony Trailblazer as well. If you do need to run sustain, maybe your team is just not strong enough, then in that case you can go ahead and use either Linksha or just use Gallagher as well. If you don't have Linksha and your Gallagher is taken, then just use whatever next best option you can use. You can use someone like a Hyperspeed Luocha to generate skill points. Just use whatever option is applicable in that case. So for sustain one, it would look like this. So these three and plus the Dahlia here. If you have the team but you don't have Fugue, you can sub out Fugue. Use someone like Harmony MC in that slot instead, or even someone like Ruan Mei. And then this is kind of an older setup as this was the thing you would do previously, but you can actually do a -1 setup with someone like Sunday or Bronya. Sunday is just slightly better because he provides that bit of energy, and also because you can comfortably generate skill points, especially if you do have his Lightcone. Like you can put on your Sunday Lightcone on Bronya and do that instead. If you do have that, that's fine, but I'm just gonna use Sunday here as an example. And then the last 2 slots would go to the other break support. So again, in this same setup, the Dahlia would be there. So you would run the Dahlia in the 3rd slot, and then last slot would go to Fugue. Or if you don't have Fugue, again, you can use either Ruan Mei or even just like Harmony MC. And then if you don't have the Dahlia, you would have to sub out something like this. The team could look something like that. This is now worse. It used to be really good because of the whole -1 stuff, and you can have double the turns for Boothill. But now with the Dahlia and just doing the whole thing, the best thing to do is just run Fugue, the Dahlia, and then Ruan Mei, Harmony MC, whatever you do have in that slot. And then again, the last slot would go to sustain if you would need that instead. It's going to be a drop off, but if you need it, then go ahead and use it. And that is the full updated 4.1 guide for Boothill. I do hope you found this video helpful. If you did, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all the types of star content. And I'll see you later. Peace out.